You're listening to Change Your POV Podcast, episode 180. Change Your POV Podcast Network is dedicated to helping veterans become just as successful out of uniform as we were when we were in. In order to do this, Bennett and I knew we couldn't do it alone. Colin Powell once said, "Surround yourself with people who take their work seriously, but not themselves. Those who work hard and play hard." Ronald Reagan believed this to be true as well. He said, quote, "Surround yourself with the best people you can find. Delegate authority and don't interfere as long as the policy you've decided upon is being carried out. You are the sum of your 5 closest friends. Let me introduce you to mine." Oh, somebody dropped off. Oh, that was Jeff.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know why you didn't hear me the first time.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me
Because you still haven't learned how to use your computer.
I learned how to use my computer.
Shit break. I'm gonna call you shit break.
Shit, you
Shit
sure
break.
about that?
Shit break.
You got a drip
What is
pen out
that
of that?
from? What is that shit break from? What is that from?
That's not from anything.
No, it's
You're
from American Pie. That's what
That's
it's
shit
from.
brick.
Shit brick. Brick.
Jesus fucking Christ. I can't be dealing with amateur bullshit when it comes to friggin', pulling up movie
Fucking
quotes.
amateur
If
night
you're
at the
gonna
Apollo.
use movie quotes, you better pull the right ones up. Don't come up with that
Shit brick.
bullshit.
Shit brick.
God damn.
Stifler's
Shit.
mom. God damn it.
Stifler's mom.
No.
I'm gonna call you shipwreck.
From American
Yeah.
Pie.
It won't go over well. I can guarantee that.
Go look at Google. It is from American Pie.
It is. IMDb.
Yeah, it is, but it's shit brick, not shit break.
All right.
Shit break.
It's shit break.
You guys are insane.
Totally shit break.
Really? Jeff was wrong?
Mac.
Oh.
Mac.
Well, remember, IMDb doesn't let you swear on it, so probably somebody censored themselves.
No, it's not IMDb. Just literally throw shit break into Google and look at all the results.
Oh, you know what? You're absolutely right, because the internet has never been false or lied about anything.
Never.
It's always 100% accurate.
Jesus Lord. Just remember, I've been on this planet a few years more than you. Just saying.
And you still ain't getting shit right.
You still ain't getting shit right. Your shit's still weak as fuck, bro.
You're still 10 times closer to fuck up than any one of us. So, damn.
I love
God damn.
You know, we always had that guy that said, "I'm the highest ranking E5 in this battalion."
Yeah, it's like,
I'm the highest ranking fucking E4 in this bitch. Fuck you.
Not
I got
something-
tenure on all you motherfuckers. It's like, dude, you're still an E6. You've been in 22 years.
You're 12 years in and you're an E4 specialist. What
Holy
the
shit.
fuck?
Not
I don't want to hear anything from you. You're only a fucking E7.
Dude.
I'm like, yeah, I was an E7 when I only had 10 years in, you assholes.
Bennett loved being an E4 so much he had to try it out both in the Marine Corps and in the
Both
Army.
in the Marine Corps and the fucking Army.
Hey, anything
Anything
worth doing is worth doing twice,
That's
right,
had
man?
to do a qualifying that shit.
God damn. Man, I love getting ranked so much, I dropped myself back down to private twice just so I could do it 3 times.
That's right.
Fucking stupid,
I don't
man.
want to hear from you fuckheads. Did you have to fucking make it through to NCO twice? No, I got that DUI on purpose.
Right. I got that fucking... I got that assault charge on purpose. Motherfucker.
I told the commander to go fuck himself while I was sleeping with his wife because I really enjoy being an E4.
So let me ask you a question. Are we recording?
Yes.
Damn it.
I sure as hell hope so, because if we're not recording...
Why? Did you not want to be recording right now?
No, I'm just saying I was going to tell a story if we're not recording.
Well, you could still tell a story. Why can't you?
No,
Hey,
I
Benny,
can't say it.
I don't know if you figured it out, but there is this thing called editing. We can cut people out.
All right, so
Go ahead.
unbeknownst to
Oh,
All right.
edit out later? Okay, go ahead.
unbeknownst to Lance Corporal Bennett Tanton,
You can't fucking do that to Bennett.
Yeah,
all
I
kinds of-
can. So, do we still have everybody? Andrew, you still here?
I am still here.
Dwayne?
Dude, Andrew's fucking bleeding at his eyes.
Stu can't fucking. He's like, this is the fucking kind of people I associate with. Listen to these
Willingly, by choice.
Yeah,
This-
by choice. His ears are bleeding.
He's like, what the fuck? I'm like, he goes, all of a sudden, it's like neophyte in the friggin' mental institution.
Okay, ready? Dwayne,
Yes.
you will be number 1. So just remember that number. Jeff, you are
Okay.
number 2. Remember that number. Andrew, you're number 3. Remember that number. And Kevin, you are number 4. Remember that number. Is everybody ready?
Hey, what number am I again?
You are
Number 2.
You are number 2, Jeff.
You went through 4
He
numbers.
is the
Every-
shit.
Okay. Now, if you're trying to figure out what those numbers mean, let's see how smart you guys are. Are we ready? Here we go.
Is there going to be a raffle?
Yes, there'll be a raffle. Hello,
What
folks.
do we win?
Welcome to Change Your POV Podcast Network. I am your host, Eddie Lazary.
And I am Bennett Tanton.
I'm Dwayne France.
I'm Jeff Adamick.
I'm Andrew McDowell.
And I'm Kevin Fairbanks.
Oh my God, you guys figured it out. Very nice.
It's
Very
like
nice.
it's like it was planned.
It's like we're all standing in formation and somebody says, sound off, right? Or no, what is it? Fucking count by numbers or whatever
Count
the
by
hell it is.
numbers.
Oh, Jesus.
Paint by numbers.
Paint by numbers. Well, Jeff doesn't know what a formation even is, so
No, I've seen them. And I am diametrically opposed to those motherfuckers.
Like Jeff and Kevin have no idea what a formation is for 2 totally different reasons, right?
Yeah, Kevin doesn't know because he's too busy watching cable. Jeff doesn't know because his hands are in his pockets. He's got long hair, and fuck that shit.
Mm-hmm. All right, folks, this is a very special episode in more than one way. Trust me, very, very special. We are going to be. This is our official episode that we are not only going to introduce everybody in what the hell what's going on the show, but this is going to be the show that everybody is going to refer everyone back to when somebody says, what is it that you guys do and what is it all about? Everybody's going to say, you got to check out episode number, whatever the hell number this is, 170.
You told me to remember the number 2. Is it the number 2? Is that what it is? Episode
No,
number 2?
it's not.
Oh, no?
I'll have to come up. I have to figure out what the hell number. This is it's the weekend after not this Friday, next Friday is when this is coming out. So, on that note, folks, this is our official Attack Friday episode. This is actually coming out on Friday. And Attack, of course, stands for Actionable Tips, Tricks, and Coachable Knowledge. And what we're going to do here is we're going to actually bring on each of these guys separately. We're going to talk about the show that they're hosting, kind of what it's about, and then, feel free to interject or whatever. But remember, we've got to keep this within time. So it is now 6:10. We got to be done with this thing by 7 o'clock. So let's get this party started. So, folks, this is the way it works. Every single day of the week, and there's a surprise that Ben and I talked about in order to fill our Saturday shows.
We created some shit on Saturday,
and we're gonna tell
nobody fucking knows about.
Nope, you guys don't even know about it. You're gonna find out tonight. Here we go. So every day of the week, we are this is our plan. We don't have it yet. We're working towards it. But every day of the week, we're gonna have a different show, and it's gonna be hosted by somebody different. So we're going to still keep our Motivation Mondays, but it's going to change up a little bit. Bennett, can you describe what Motivation Mondays is and how it's going to change from what it's been in the past?
Yeah, so obviously people that are aware know that Motivation Monday is where Eddie and I have taken a motivational quote and then we've deciphered it kind of in our own language, right? Mm-hmm. So what we're doing, though, is now with the other folks that we have involved in the POV network, we're going to get them to record their own Motivation Monday episodes as well. So it's not just going to be Bennett and Eddie anymore. It's going to be Bennett, Eddie, Jeff, Dwayne, Kevin, and Andrew, all doing Motivation Mondays. You know, it's not necessarily in any particular order, but it's just cool because we're able to draw from like a wider range of whatever of a group and literally put that Motivation Monday out there. So it's literally going to be from the entire network, which is really cool.
Right. As a matter of fact, tomorrow, obviously, the episode that we're talking on right now is episode 178 that we'll be releasing 2 weeks from today. However, in real time, tomorrow is Monday, and that will be episode 175, and that will be the first episode our first Motivation Monday that will be done by somebody other than Bennett or I, with the exception of 169. Michael Penny came on and actually did our first ever non-Bennett and Eddie Motivation Monday. That was pretty cool. And that was a unique one because it actually pointed to a joint show that Cigars and Sea Stories and Change Your POV did, and it pointed it over to available on Patreon. That was a pretty cool show. But tomorrow,
episode 169.
169 for a reason.
Yeah. 169.
Just saying.
Just saying. So tomorrow, episode 175, Jeff will be introducing his debut Motivation Monday quote, which is a quote by Bruce Lee. So you've got to check that out. It's pretty cool. And then that leads us into Tuesday. So Tuesday, we are introducing a new show, and it's the title of it, really cool, Headspacing Timing, and it is hosted by Dwayne France. Dwayne, talk to us about Headspace and Timing, kind of where it comes from, or what are you going to be talking about?
Yeah, so the idea behind the show Headspace and Timing is to talk about veteran mental health and how veterans can make sure that when they transition, even active duty, try to figure it out while they're still on active duty, that their mental health and wellness is a basis for pretty much everything else they're going to do after the military. And we chose the Headspace and Timing because, we all know the 50 cal, and the 50 cal is a great weapon, but it wasn't very operational if the headspace and timing wasn't set correctly. So you got this tiny little headspace and timing gauge, and if somebody didn't know how to properly apply it, then you just had a big hunk of metal. And so that's sort of like the veteran's mindset, the veteran's brain. It's a small part of who they are, but it's a pretty big piece.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, I love it. It's pretty much, I'm just saying, Headspace and Timing is probably one of the best freaking things I've ever heard when it comes to actual veteran mental health. Just because it's such a small part of what we do in all honesty, but like you've said, Dwayne, if it's not done, your shit's totally fucked up.
Right.
Like your main weapon in the fight, besides like your M4 or your 240, the Ma Deuce is the fucking daddy.
It's the most casualty producing weapon on the battlefield.
Correct, Jeff. It's amazing. Like that shit is like, if you don't have that, you feel fucking naked. Let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But if you got that Ma Deuce up and running, that shit's kicking. But if you don't have that headspace and timing correct, it's going to fail you.
It is a 38.6 pound piece of paperweight that just sits
correct.
On top of
it's a fucking gigantic paperweight. And at the end of the day, that's the bread and butter. That's the thing. And if we have that straight, for the most part, we've got the rest of it straight. I mean, of course, obviously we've got a little bit of, here or there, but yeah, man, it's freaking amazing.
So real quick, Madhu story, right? My very first duty station, I was E-0. First duty station, 4th Infantry Division, Fort Hood, Texas. And my first field problem was actually NTC, believe it or not. So there I am, brand new private. I leave my wife and kid home, and off I go to the Mojave Desert in beautiful Fort Irwin, California, for my first field problem. And I am assigned as an RTO on the battalion commander's battle track, which happened to be an M113, right? And so, of course, the crucive weapon on the M113 was the 50 cal. And, of course, we had a specialist gunner and a specialist driver, and, of course, my team chief was the E5. And we get to the part where we're doing our live fire towards the end of rotation. We're doing our live fire. And, of course, the gun, I'm down inside behind the radios and shit. I'm still trying to figure out what the hell I'm doing. And the gunner just letting him go. I mean, he must have burned off, 3 cans of ammo. And this 50 cal is rocking the 113, dude. Like, literally, I mean, you could feel it rocking the 113. And finally, he traverses the, if you're familiar with the M113, it's got that back hatch that you can flip backwards. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, right.
And so the 50 cal is traversed backwards because we're engaging a target behind the vehicle. And my team chief says, "Hey, Lazary, get up here. I want you to get off a few rounds." I'm like, "Oh, Roger, Sergeant." So I stand up, right? And I reach up and I grab the muzzle of the 50 cal to pull myself up.
Someone's headspace and timing was not set correctly.
Oh my God, dude!
Timing. Somebody's got no friggin' hand left.
Oh my God, dude! I literally heard that sound, like, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, man.
I was like, dude, I screamed like for 3 seconds. I screamed like a bitch. I was like, ah! And then I realized where I was, and that quickly changed. I was like, ah! Anyway, I climb up there, dude. My hand is like, I peeled my hand off the barrel of that gun,
Holy shit,
and like
bro.
my palm skin was still stuck to the. Oh my God!
Oh, that's horrible.
So anyway, we get back, and he says, before you're allowed to fire this, you've got to learn how to set the head spacing timing, and you got to learn how to do a barrel change over. And I was like, what the hell? Like, what the hell is that? And he tossed me the head space and timing gauge, and it was the first time I've ever even seen it. And I was like, what's this? He goes, that's the difference between us living or dying on the battlefield, what you have in your hands right there. And I was like, at the time, I didn't quite understand what that meant. But it's so true. You can have all of the ammunition that you want down in the hull. You can have all the guns that you want up on top and, mounted. But if you don't have the headspace and timing set correctly on that thing, like it's done. You're done.
It's a fucking paperweight. Like Jeff said.
Absolutely. So when we heard about your show, headspace and timing, and listening to what it means and what you talk about and the subject matter in terms of veteran mental health and how important it is to get our headspace and timing right as soldiers, as airmen, as Marines, as you fill in the blank, right? As service members of the United States military, if you don't have the headspace and timing right, man, it doesn't matter all that cool kit you have. It isn't going to get you very far. You know what I'm saying?
Here's one of the coolest things about this whole weapon, right? Every single service uses it.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Every single service.
Yep.
Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines,
and the Coast
fucking Guard.
Yep.
Our token coasties use that shit too.
Yeah.
So you want to know something that's even cooler about that weapon system?
Yes.
1937 was the initial inception of it by Dr. Browning, who designed the M2 Mod Deuce, 50 caliber thing. And from that day till now, except for the inception of the HB, which is the heavy barrel, to be able to let the barrel last longer, the exact design that he made in 1925 when he sent it off to patent is the exact same design that we use today, up to and including the fact that it gets replaced so infrequently that the weapon, the Mod Deuce that I used on the top of my vehicle in the Afghan war, was the same one that was flying in one of the flying fortresses back in 1941 over Europe. 1939 date of inception on that weapon system, and that weapon system was fought in that war, Vietnam, Korea, and every single war up to and including the latest one on the top of weapon systems for U.S. soldiers that entire time. That is how reliable and how genius that weapon system is. And it goes back to the thing. Our brains are the same brains that we've had forever. So setting our headspace and timing is not something that gets new and improved as time goes on. It's all the same stuff. Human beings are human beings, just like the 50 cal is the 50 cal.
Yeah, man.
It's amazing shit.
And that's the biggest thing that really your veteran mental health isn't something a lot of people talk about. It's in the secret. It's in the back. It's and it's starting to come out more outside. But there's a lot of veterans out there that I work with as a mental health professional that still got it locked in their head that they want to keep it secret. So all the writing, all the podcasts that we're doing is just trying to get it out in the open and say, look, you don't have to be a big useless hunk of metal. You can actually be an effective weapon and do some stuff in your life.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, because I promise you that the same issues that we're dealing with now are the same issues that guys were dealing with back in 1944.
Oh, yeah.
I guarantee it.
It might be called something different, but it's the same stuff, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, Jeff Adamek, changing hearts and minds. So, we've got Jeff Adamek. Let's back it up a second. So, Ranger Medic becomes Special Forces weapons sergeant. Now, all of a sudden, after he decides to get out and everything else, comes on Change Your POV, becomes host of Changing Hearts and Minds. Tell us what your show is all about, Jeff.
Well, my show is the wild card. The way I look at it, my show is the wild card of our group of shows. I don't like to strap hang myself to one specific topic. So I am kind of the guy that is, whatever's left. It's like I will cover everything on my show from veterans mental health, just like Dwayne does, in bits and pieces, only because I am a survivor of PTSD. Everything up to and including, special operations, topics that are just for special operations guys. But what I'm planning on doing with the show is taking those special operation topics and showing how they apply to all the other veterans. I'm not a big fan of the us and them, which a lot of guys ends up happening with special operations. A lot of times guys leave the regular military, move into special operations, and it becomes I used to be regular Army, but now I'm special operations. Last time I checked, the military is the military is the military, and we're all brothers and sisters, and it's the same stuff. You'll see that in a lot of my shows where you'll see where it does equate. The other thing that my show is going to do is I'm going to focus a lot of time on the stuff that made us love the military, the things that make us different from other people as veterans. That's the kind of stuff you're going to see, you're going to hear and see my show put out there. A lot of the cool things about history that a lot of people don't realize, or the stuff that people don't pay a lot of attention to, that makes us just different people from other people. We are all people, but there is something different. There's a different breeding and a different type of mentality that veterans have than others don't. And my show it's going to honor and celebrate that, the warrior attitude that we have, that all people can have, but veterans seem to have it naturally. And we seem to, we use the Spartan ideal of pushing and loving our warriors. And so that's going to be what my show really focuses on in the long run. Also, I kind of like to think of myself as the break in seriousness. Sometimes there'll be a lot of jackassery that goes on in my show, just because, SF guys being SF guys, we think outside the box. We don't follow all the normal rules. So I will be the one break in contact of normalcy, if you will, from the other shows.
And so really quick, talk to us about what, in your experience, what's been the dangers with this whole idea of this mindset of quiet professional?
Oh, I'm glad you asked that question. It's a good thing. The dangers is what occurred with me for the last 3 years. So we have this mentality in special forces called quiet professional, and the inception of that idea is based in the idea of not going out and bragging and telling everybody how great you are, and how you're different and how you're special and all that kind of other stuff. And you don't need to brag about all the stuff you do, just do your job. And that's all fine, and I completely endorse that. But what happens is we've had this, it's other than the Navy SEALs who have a really good PR campaign, it is morphed into this, we're not going to talk about anything. And the danger with us not talking about, right, we're not going to talk about anything, morphs itself into, we're not going to talk about anything, even the stuff that needs to be talked about. Mm-hmm. You need to get the word out about the fact that special forces guys, special operations guys, they suffer and they deal with the same struggles that every other soldier deals with. We are no different. And a lot of people tell me, oh, it's easy for SF guys to say he's not different than everyone else. But you're right. It is easy for me to say because I've been both. I've been a regular guy. I've been an SF guy. And I'll tell you what's not any different is Jeff Adamick is still Jeff Adamick. I am not a different person just because of what I do. The only difference between me and somebody else is either the fact that I don't quit and they do, and that's their choice, or I just have a job that's different from theirs just because I chose to do that job. Everything else about me as a human being is exactly the same. And the problems that I've suffered, the problems that the struggles that I've worked through are the same struggles that everybody else goes through. And I saw the fact that there are people out there who won't go out and seek any kind of help. They won't ask for help. They won't invite other people into their circles to help them through struggles. That when they've heard me tell my story, they're like, well, God, if you as a Green Beret could go out there and ask for help and do it, then why can't I do it? Mm-hmm. And that's when it hit me that the stories that we have need to be told, not for the sake of us telling our stories for look at me, check me out, but because there's people out there that need help. There's people out there that can use the help that for one reason or another have gotten themselves convinced that they cannot or they will not ask for any help. And if I can go out there and tell my story and talk to people and get people to listen, and it makes them change the way they view the world, change their heart and minds, and they go out and they do something different and it helps them, then that's the reason why we need to get guys like me out there to talk about these things, because it's going to help, and it does help other people out.
And I literally come from this. I come to this from a very special place, because, I mean, regardless of special operations across the timelines is the same. I was special operations in the 90s in the Marine Corps, which is different. I mean, I'm not going to say that I was out there hooking and jabbing with the enemy the same way that like guys from special forces or Ranger Bats or from MARSOC are doing nowadays. But at the end of the day, what it comes down to is that whether you've got 3 deployments or 14 deployments, because I have friends of mine that have spent literally out of the last, since 2001, have spent somewhere in the realm of 8 to 10 years in country, whether it's in Afghanistan or Iraq. Okay. And if those guys can't talk about their problems, we are broken as a freaking service.
Mm-hmm. True
like
story.
those are the guys that lead from the front. And if they cannot tell us how they're dealing with their issues, then, I mean, it's one thing to lead from the front while you're in the service. I get it. But what these guys have to understand is that they have to lead from the front out of service as well. And if they do so, we will have a lot less guys blowing their freaking brains out, overdosing on pills, having all these freaking issues, because these are the guys that everyone looks up to, regardless of whether that is what you signed up for or not. That is the crux and the bottom line of all of this shit, is you guys are the tip of the spear, regardless of whether it is in service or out of service. I beg you to lead from the front outside of service as well. Guys like Jeff, guys like my friend Andrew Marr, guys like my friends that are SF, and MARSOC, you have to continue. I deplore to you, lead from the front, because these guys are offing themselves and just having issues. But if you show that you have issues too, and speak the truth and speak from your heart that you have these problems too, I guarantee you that some of these numbers will go down. Now, Jeff, you and I have never had this conversation, and I kind of wish we had before this point. But right. That is one of those things from my heart that I speak, and you can probably hear the emotion in my voice. I deplore of you guys that have gone there, that have led from the front before, to do so again and help these guys deal with these issues that we have now as a community, as veterans, male, female, POG, warriors, whatever. That's my message. And that, truthfully, and Eddie and I have dealt with this for a long time, this is the message of change your POV. That's change your point of view. That's what it's all about.
And then it starts right here, guys. I am going to offer something right now that no matter how many times he says deplore, what he meant was implore.
Yeah.
When he said it 6 times. I mean, I know he's emotional, and that's why. But all joking aside,
grammar Nazi.
Grammar Nazi. That wasn't even grammar Nazi. It was the wrong word. But Bennett, Bennett is one of the most emotional guys I think I've ever met, and the passion and love he has for what you guys are doing really stands out in everything he says and does. And I 100% back up everything he says. And I challenge you guys to stop thinking of yourselves, stop pretending that you don't have problems, and do not let your status in the military as a special operations guy become something that makes you too arrogant to speak up that you have issues, because you're not fooling anybody. You're not fooling me. And I guarantee you that if it continues the way it is with special operations guys pretending this stuff doesn't happen, and not that it's a bad thing that goes across the board, but I am not going to be the guy who is going to back you up, and you are going to hear me rail at the top of my lungs on my platform how we're failing if we don't start changing things. Because right now is an opportunity for all of us to fix what's going on with our own community, because it's on us. We can wait all day long for the civilians to fix us, but that's not their job. Their job is to be the people that we protect, and it goes while we're in service and outside of service. I'm not willing to sit around and wait for the civilians to fix us. I'm here to help fix us from the inside, because that's where change starts.
Yeah, man. And you know what? If you want there to be change in the world, you got to be the change, right? Sitting around waiting for that shit to happen, it just isn't going to. And that leads us into our Thursday show, which is called Neophyte in the Woods, and it's hosted by Andrew McDowell. And I had to actually look this word up because I am illiterate when it comes to these very creative words. And
you're a neophyte.
Right. And neophyte actually means...
Your mom's a neophyte.
Neophyte means somebody that's new to something, like a novice or somebody that's new. And I'm not gonna steal Andrew's thunder. He's gonna talk about what his show is about. But I've got to tell you that in a lot of ways, right? There's so many programs out there that are catering to veterans that are struggling with whatever issues that they may be having, but they're finding solace in outdoor activities, whether it be fishing, hiking, camping. There's all kinds of very incredible organizations out there that actually do these. They take veterans out on these outdoor trips, and there's just something about getting out into nature and getting back to the roots, and even it just helps us become more grounded in. And whether we're doing it alone or we're doing it with other buddies of ours, and then you bring in that element of camaraderie. So this show, the Thursday show, Neophyte in the Woods, is a way to bring kind of everything full circle and talk about kind of the experiences that we have as both veterans and non-veterans, and how we can kind of continue that outside of our military experience into nature, and just being appreciative of good old Mother Earth and Mother Nature. And with that, talk to us a little bit, Andrew, about your show and kind of the different topics that you're going to be covering on Thursdays.
Sure. So, I'm kind of the odd man out here when it comes to service, in that I've never served in the military or what have you. So I'm coming at this from the other side, and trying to look at nature and the outdoors, and, as Eddie said, camping, hiking, fishing, whatever you kind of want to touch on there, as a means of learning, and how it changes your perspective on things. I came to hunting and fishing late. Actually, I guess I came to hunting late. I started hunting 2.5 years ago, and really it changed the way I look at my natural environment, my built environment, and my life. And then, I fished from the time I was a kid, and got away from that when I discovered video games, and kind of got back to it around the same time as getting out, starting to hunt. And it really has really changed my perspective on things. And that's what I really want to discuss at the end of the day, is how these activities that we engage in outside of our jobs make us better people, or make us connect with something greater on a different level.
Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, it's sometimes you got to get away from the concrete and the noise and the busy. Yep. and the things that are so easy to kind of get your head wrapped around, right? The daily grind, the 9 to 5, always pushing somebody else's agenda, right? If you're working in corporate,
exactly.
And let's be honest. Andrew is like the epitome of that guy.
Yeah.
He doesn't come off as that way, but at the end of the day, the guy takes the train to work and home every day out of Boston, right?
Yep.
And then the next thing you know, I'm talking to Andrew from the fucking woods.
Yeah.
Because he's like out there duck hunting and shit. and I'm like, seriously, bro, this is awesome. So I met Andrew through our mutual friend Mike Penny, who
Penny.
Yeah, everybody loves Mike Penny. But anyway, so Andrew, great dude, freaking unbelievable guy. And the next thing I know is he literally is living this like corporate life. And then the next thing you know, I talk to him and he's like, yeah, I'm going trout hunting, or I'm going trout fishing.
Trout hunting. I'm going to do that.
Trout hunting, yeah.
I'm going to take my shotgun. I'm going to take a quick quiver in Western Massachusetts.
Fishing with dynamite.
I'm going to shoot rainbow trout with
fucking
smoke.
dynamite, right, Dwayne?
Fishing with dynamite. Yeah,
Fishing
absolutely.
with dynamite. So
Fucking
I
trout
don't see a
hunting.
problem with anything you guys are talking about, actually.
No, exactly.
I love
So
it.
fantastic. And at the end of the day, I love the fact that Andrew like goes back to like the old school roots and is literally looking at this stuff as like, this is the way that people back in the day lived.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it.
Yeah.
I just love it.
Very cool.
I've done an experiment. I haven't done it yet, but I've always wanted to do a Kickstarter where I raise a bunch of money and go hunt and fish all over the place, but don't eat anything that I couldn't raise in my own backyard or catch, in the stream around the corner. So no buying steak at the store, no going out to dinner unless
straight venison or like pronghorn or moose or whatever, right? Yeah.
So that's about as far back to my roots as I think I could go. Maybe one of these
But
days.
the fact is, and this is what's so incredible, is that you're a guy who's like willing to like take that journey. And that's what's so.
I think my wife would kill me, but
she
whatever.
might kill you, but she still love you in the end.
She's
so.
super pregnant right now, so I'm pretty sure I can outrun her. So I'm not terribly scared.
I love it.
I tell you what, man. I think the last time I did any kind, I think it was cheese puffs hunting is what I was doing a couple days ago. But so that's our Thursday show, Neophyte in the Woods by Mr. Andrew McDowell, and then of course our traditional Attack Friday. Bennett, could you describe for us Attack again for those that might be new to this?
Obviously, Attack. It's an acronym. Actionable, tips, tricks, and coachable knowledge. All right. Now, Eddie and I came up with this concept about 18 months ago,
Yeah,
Eddie?
pretty close.
And it was just like, how can we leave our audience with like a takeaway every single time that we record? I mean, obviously, like Motivational Monday, it kind of takes, it's self-explanatory.
Mm-hmm.
But Fridays, the Attack Fridays, it's just kind of, actionable tips, tricks, and coachable knowledge. That's what this really, at the end of all of it, is what it's really about, is leaving our audience with actual knowledge that they can take out into the world and apply.
Right. Shit they can use, right?
That they can use from, every day, whether it's in their everyday lives or in their business lives or in their relationships or whatever. And that's what it's all about.
Yep. Sometimes those episodes are just like a topic that you and I pick and we kind of go back and forth about it. Or sometimes it's an interview with a guest talking about a specific topic. Recently, and we've been kind of going through this year, 2017, we've been each month is kind of centered around a different topic, right? Like in April last month, the topic was execution. And so we try to bring all of our conversations, whether it was just conversations you and I had on a show or interviews that we would have with people, was to really bring in the essence of execution. And this month, as we're moving into now May, our topic is all about branding. And so we're going to be talking about branding and how it relates to us as veterans, as entrepreneurs, as even in corporate. It's important these days to properly brand yourself because, folks, you're doing it. You're doing it anyway, right? A lot of people think, oh, well, I don't have time for that. You are. If you've got a social media account, if you've got a name, placard on your cubicle wall, you are in essence branding yourself in some form or fashion. And we want to educate people so they're doing it the most effective way that's going to bring value to them and those around them.
You literally are branding yourself regardless of Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, all of them. I mean, it's the brand is you.
Right.
And don't kid yourself. If you're, I mean, whether or not you're trying to become an entrepreneur or whether you're trying to become an employee of a company, do not fool yourself that the company, whether it's the federal government, Cisco, Best Buy, or Home Depot, they're checking your Facebook profile. They're checking for a LinkedIn profile. They're checking for all this stuff. So again, it's a matter of having consistency across those platforms and literally, and these are kind of some of the things that we talk about.
Yep.
Especially moving in, I know that's what you were segueing into, is segueing into Kevin.
Right.
So go ahead, Eddie.
Oh, go ahead. I'll let you do it.
No, so we've got Kevin Fairbanks, who is our Sunday show at this point.
Yes, we'll wrap back around and talk Saturday after Kevin.
Yeah, well
Nothing like being in order.
Right. So Kevin, Sunday show, tell us exactly what is going on there with you. Kevin is our, and I laugh and I kid with Kevin a lot about being our token Air Force guy.
Well, Andrew mentioned being the odd man out for having not served. I have it worse because I wore an Air Force uniform.
Right, exactly.
By the way,
homeboy's wearing tiger stripes, guys. Seriously.
And by the way, Eddie, I'm still waiting for my sign-on bonus for joining the network.
Yes, it's in the mail.
It's in the mail. It's a fucking 550 cord bracelet.
Yes.
That's some classy shit right there, man. 550 cord bracelet's classy.
And it's Air Force blue.
Yes.
Nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
Just went from
baby
being classy
blue.
to being jokey.
It's like Blue's Angels blue, bro.
Right. Blue and yellow.
Yes.
I may have wore an Air Force uniform, but I don't think I put on those dress blues all of but 2 times in my entire career.
Oh, thank God, too. They are ugly, man. They are hideous. It's unbelievably how ugly those things are. But I digress.
Well, now Kevin wears a pink tie.
Absolutely.
No, that's set,
Tell
dude.
us.
I'm telling you, pink tie is actually, dude. There's just something masculine about a guy.
Some man shit.
It
right?
is right. I honestly think there's something. Yeah, man.
It's like giving the double finger up to the fucking double middle finger to the fucking man.
So Kevin's got his show, Remove Before Flight, and it is on Sundays. Kevin, talk to us about what Remove Before Flight is, what type of things you're talking about, and what's up with this pink tie we're all talking about.
Absolutely. Well, the official statement is, we help prepare veterans to start, grow, or scale a business. What that comes down to, we go over the ups and downs of being a business owner. We talk about common mistakes so that others don't have to make those same mistakes. We have interviews with successful and non-successful entrepreneurs who are fighting that struggle every day and share some of the ups and downs that they've experienced. We have interviews with service organizations which can help veterans either, start or grow their business. And then I like to follow it up every show with a marketing tip. My background is a web designer, digital marketer. I've been involved in the technology sector for over 20 years. I run a business called Pink Tie Technology Group. That's where the pink tie comes into it. And I just love what I do. I love giving back and helping others grow and expand their businesses.
That's awesome. If you're ever interested in listening to somebody epically fail at their business.
No, hold on.
What?
Eddie, you and I should be Kevin's first. I know we're not, but I'm saying we should definitely be his first episodes on failing at business. Holy shit.
Yes. So if you
I've still never told my business fail story.
No, you
over
haven't.
The air.
Dude, I think you should get interviewed by Kevin and talk about it.
But Kevin knows my business fail.
No, but we need to have it on the show.
Him and I talked about it, but at some point, no, him and I have talked about this already. That my business fail is I don't know if it's as epic as yours, Eddie, but it's fucking epic. It's pretty epic. So either way,
we captured mine, and you can go back and listen to that on episode 28,
fuck, man.
which is still by far one of the most downloaded episodes. I laid all out there.
Funny that it's one of the
Yeah,
it's one of the most downloaded episodes.
Epic fail. Episode 28.
I laugh every time I hear it.
Oh, I listen to it every couple of months just because it's so funny. I just love it. It wasn't funny at the time, but it's funny now.
It's funny. Yeah.
So that brings, all right. So a real quick recap. Motivation Monday is going to stay the same. Tuesday, Dwayne's coming in. He's kicking off headspacing timing, talking about veterans' mental health. Followed by Wednesday, our Hump Day, Changing Hearts and Minds with Jeff Adamick. Thursday is Neophyte in the Woods. If we can get him actually out of the woods and into the recording studio to get these shows released, we'll be winning. And then
I got a phone, man. I can record.
Yeah, he'd be like, this is
turkey.
I totally want to fucking record. I totally want to.
From what I heard, he's out in the woods. He might as well record because he ain't shooting anything.
I totally want to record an episode with you from a tree stand, bro.
Oh yes,
this
All
fall.
right,
he'd be like, Bennett, quiet.
Quiet.
Wait,
I've got a guy.
Listen, there he is.
I've got.
Hold on, I'm trout hunting.
Do you hear that sizzle? That's the sound of the fuse of the dynamite I'm about to throw into the reservoir.
And then, Friday is our actionable tips, tricks, and coachable knowledge. And then bringing up the rear, closing out the week is Kevin Fairbanks with Remove Before Flight, which everybody's now wondering what happened to Saturday, right? Bennett, talk to us about what we have planned for Saturday.
So here's the deal, folks. And this is not only to our audience, but it's also to the other 5 folks that we have in.
Note to self, guys. They made sure they were recording our reactions to this, so this ought to be awesome.
Yeah,
strap in.
It's got 2 bracelets for this.
So basically, it's kind of like a family Saturday.
Yeah.
Is the best way to describe it. So we're motivated by like Jeff, when your daughter gave her lovely freaking her lovely rendition to like the Patreon pitch, right?
Oh, bro, I'm all about using my kids to exploit them,
right.
exploit my kids for my own benefit.
Kids, right? So I have four daughters. So I fully, all right. So basically what Saturday is kind of like a wild card where we bring in, it's kind of like a peek behind the curtain of the Change Your POV crew as themselves, dealing with their family, dealing with whatever. So I know that like I've got a couple episodes thought up in my head with like some of my kids, some of my daughters, and literally, whether it's a 10-minute episode or a 45-minute episode, it's kind of like talking to your kids about what it's like, and not just your kids, but your family, about what it's like to be our family, which can be either a nightmare or it can be a blessing, and my kids go through a range of freaking hell and heaven, bottom line. I know they do. And I'm pretty sure you guys are about the same. I've had candid talks with Kevin. I've had candid talks with Eddie. Andrew is about to become a father. And it's literally all these kind of like peeks behind the curtain, peeks behind Oz's curtain of what is it really like in the Change Your POV world? What is it like behind the curtain? And literally whether it's a 10-minute episode or a 45-minute episode, I feel like we have the duty to kind of bring our families into it and just kind of show. It's not that it has to be every single week.
Right.
But every once in a while, if you feel the need to record something with your kids, record something with your wife, or whatever.
Kind of things you talking about? You want me recording with my wife?
Yeah, you never know. I mean, that's up to you, bro. Throw it out there.
So we haven't actually come up with a name for it yet, but we'll come up with an actual name. We'll assign it some type of naming convention in terms of the show name, and it'll just be open. It'll be an open grab bag. It'll go. You can go into the spreadsheet there and kind of see when the next available slot would be, and you can record a show, throw it in there. Like Bennett said, this doesn't have to be. We don't have to have a show every Saturday. It could be, you know what I mean. And you can only, if everyone did one show a month, we would still have more than a month's worth of shows, right? So,
like for instance, I'll just put something out there. Like and Eddie and I have talked about this, and I haven't talked about this with the entire team, but I'm adopted. I was adopted from birth, right? And my wife got me a ancestry.com, got me a DNA test over for a Christmas gift to see what, my ancestry was, whether I was actually whether I was Polish. I was always under the impression that I was like Polish, right? That was what the
You're not Polish?
No, I'm not. I'm not even a little bit. I'm like 7%. Turns out I'm actually like a Viking, like Scandinavian. So what turns out though is that I actually found my birth father through ancestry.com.
Like recently.
Wow.
Like within the last 2 months. And not only my birth father, but I have brothers. I'm an only child by the way I was raised. But now I have a brother and 2 sisters and all this other shit, like a whole family that I just didn't know about. But this is the type of stuff that I'm going to tell a story about on the Saturday episode. So, just to make, it's literally like a Lifetime movie. And whether or not you like to watch Lifetime movies, you're going to suck it up anyway. So, but it's really compelling, really cool kind of stuff. Whether it's Kevin, going to take a bike ride at Onondaga Lake Park with his kids on Sunday, and explain that, maybe have his kids on and say a few words about the way that they spent their Saturday with their dad. That's shit that matters to people. And that's shit that changes people's lives. You know what I mean? To understand that people, even though we're on radio and on podcasts and that we have semi-successful lives, that listen, we still have the trials and tribulations and whatnot of real lives for people. And that this is what we go through, and that you go through the same things, and that we're real, and that we are not infallible, and that we are not perfect. And that we're just like you, and listen to us and follow us.
And so here's a perfect example, right? So we are now into 175 plus episodes, and I've asked my daughter's 15. I've asked her on multiple occasions if she would be willing to come on the show and do a little bit, not a whole episode, but just come on the show and talk a little bit about something, right? And she just never did. She never wanted to or whatever. And she actually listened, because we were listening to Jeff's show, and in the car we were cruising around town, and we were just listening to his shows.
Preliminary listening.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And it got to the end, and we heard your daughter Jeff do the little the outro, the pitch at the end, and I was like, wow, man, that's like my wife commented on it. I was like, wow, that's really cool. And just recently, I just got done interviewing Justine Evers for a show that's actually releasing this Friday, episode 176. And I was doing the editing of it yesterday evening, and I asked my daughter, I was like, hey, would you be willing to come on and just read this intro? And she's like, kind of like what Jeff's daughter did for the end of that show. I'm like, yeah, except instead of it being at the back of the show, to be at the front of the show. And she's like, okay. And so she did it. She actually I recorded her give the introduction pitch for Justine, and it turned out really, really, really good. And it's the first episode that she's ever been that her voice is actually on, and it was through an inspiration of listening to your daughter, Jeff. So that's what I'm saying, man. These are the little things that they mean a lot to a lot of people, even though we might not think that they do, but they do. You were able to. Your daughter was able to inspire my daughter to do something that I couldn't get her to do in 175 episodes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's awesome. But here's the thing. Here's the other thing, and I think this goes back to what Bennett was talking about. We're not characters, guys. I mean, we do speak a certain way on these shows, and we do play up a little.
We're freaking characters.
We're not characters of our reality. We are the real people that we are on these shows. And you're going to learn quickly with my show specifically, and this is why to me, nothing goes in front of my family. My family is number one to me, and that's something that I hope comes through in the show. You know, my kids are very important to me, as you can see. You know, you can tell by I include them in it. And my wife is, you know, everything in the entire world comes second to my wife. There's a reason why an SF guy was able to keep a marriage for 20 years, you know, rather than the standardized 4 marriages that SF guys have. I've only had 1. And this is something that I support this because we do need this kind of stuff. Because this is important for people to realize what we are and how important we are to our families and how important our families are to us.
That's right.
For sure.
And so that's what Saturday is. It's an open day for any one of us to record whatever we want to. It's a grab bag. It's a miscellaneous. It's a whatever. We haven't quite come up with a name yet. So note to everyone, start coming up with some ideas for what we want to call this. But it's just open to everybody, and if we end up releasing, you know, 1 or 2 a month, or it ends up being, every week, whatever it ends up being is whatever it ends up being. But it's just kind of, if you have something that you want to talk about that doesn't quite fit into your show, and it has to do with more of like a personal story, like Bennett was talking about, or has to do with a family story, or whatever. It's just a peek behind the curtain, and it doesn't have to fit any particular mold or model. It doesn't even need an intro and outro. It's just a straight up, you know, unpolished, not very fancy produced. It's just a real honest, transparent, authentic recording that we do on Saturdays, just to keep it open and simple. It's not to. I don't want to add any more additional effort on anybody than necessary. And to be honest with you, these don't even need show notes pages. I don't even think. I want it to be as simple as possible to be able to share different things that matter to you because they matter to other people. So that's it, man. That wraps up this episode of Change Your POV Podcast Network. Even though this show is actually coming out on Friday, it's not really technically an attack episode because we don't really have a whole lot of takeaways other than come be a part of our community. Listen to all of these shows that are coming out here really soon. Actually, the first one to release was Kevin's show today. Remove Before Flight. Kevin released his first show today, his introductory episode 000, which is really cool. So if you haven't already done so, I encourage you to go over and check that out. And you can find all the show notes for everything we talked about, including the links to all of these shows. Never miss an episode. Hit subscribe on your podcast player of choice. We have a lot more great content headed your way. And hey, come be a part of our community over at Change Your POV Squad Facebook group. We've got a lot of things that we're doing over there. Engage us in conversations. We just want to hear from you. And hey, folks, until next time. Hey everyone, Eddie here. I hope you enjoyed that episode as much as I enjoyed putting it on for you guys. I hope you also enjoyed all the show hosts for all these great shows coming out on the Change Your POV Podcast Network. Bennett and I are really, really stoked and excited about all of this project and these guys coming on and introducing great guests and information to bring to you, the listener of the show. And with that said, folks, we hate asking for money, but it does cost some money to put this show on. We're asking for your support. Please head on over to changeyourpov.com/support us and become a patron of the show.